I want to pass it, and I want to succeed. We're going to go from what we learned in school. This is called the test. From what we learned in school, that was earthly things. The school that we went to when we grew up was training us, most likely, unless it was a Christian school, was training us for earthly things. So now we're going to take the same principles, because the earthly things are shadows of the heavenly things, and take it to the heavenly. The same thing. First of all, God does give us tests. Why? We say, why, Lord? Why? Like, imagine if we were in school and they gave us an algebra, they gave us some test at the end, and we said, why? Why? You don't like us? Why are you testing us, teacher? Why does he test us? We were saying, oh, Lord, why? Everything was going so smoothly. Everything was fine. Why did you have to throw in a test? Is it for your entertainment? Why? Why does God test us? Because God is our teacher. The Lord is your teacher, it says. Messiah is your rabbi. You are his disciple. Disciple, the word disciple in Hebrew and Greek means student, or the learners. The learners, those who are learning. So if he is your Lord, he's your teacher. If he's your teacher, you are his learner. You are learning. Every day means he's teaching you things. You may not be listening, but he's teaching you things. He's trying to teach you things. You're in his class every day. It's free. And it's the greatest course. And it involves, he uses the whole world as his classroom. Every day. And you don't always like the lessons, but they're good lessons. They're the best lessons. Every day he's teaching you. Not so you have head knowledge, although that's part of it, but so that you are growing up to heaven, to the graduation of heaven. It is free, and it's the greatest thing. He uses everything in your life. So you're not on earth just to hang out. You're on earth to learn, to judge. I mean, some of you, like, if this is a school, you're hanging out in the bathroom. You're not learning, and you're goofing. But God, you are to be a good student in God. It doesn't matter what you were like in school. Every day, he's teaching you things. And if he teaches you things, he must test you. Why does the Lord test you? Why do you have to go through that test? Why? Why were you tested in school? That was your earthly course. This is your heavenly course. Same reason, only heavenly. Turn to 2 Corinthians 13. 2 Corinthians 13. You need to be educated. We need to be educated believers. 2 Corinthians 13 and verse 5. Examine yourselves to see if you are in the faith. Examine yourselves. Or do you not recognize this about yourselves, that Yeshua, Jesus, the Messiah, is in you, unless indeed you fail the test? Wow. That's three things there. Examine yourself, or test yourself. That's exam, test. Examine yourself, again, to see unless you pass the test. Exam means it is an examination. What does that mean? An examination means you're being examined. You're being looked at. What is the first thing of a test? To show what's inside you. Why does God test you? God is not interested in the appearance. He's not interested in what you present yourself as. He's interested in the real thing, what's really going on. So a test shows the real thing. That's what a test is. That's what a test is. It tests the real thing. When you test somebody, you're trying to get through the facade and try to get to the real thing. You're testing them. It's easy to talk the talk, but to walk the walk. Testing separates the talk from the walk. It's easy to preach about patience, but when things come up that challenge your patience, that's when you're tested. It's easy to talk about love, but when you're driving and that person cuts you off, that's your test. Are you going to, I love you. Can you do that? Easy to talk about peace, but when the IRS comes knocking at the door, that's your test. The test shows you the real picture, what's really inside. The real picture may be pretty pathetic, or it might be pretty wonderful, but either way, it's real. God knows everything, though, so why does he have to see it? Why does he have to see it? He doesn't have to. You do. You do. In some cases, the world does. In some cases, the angels and Satan does. So you can, but first it's for you. It says, examine yourself. Messiah said to the woman with the daughter who needed healing, who wasn't a disciple. She hadn't been taught. But he said, she comes and she said, heal my daughter. And he said, is it right to do this? I came for Israel, not for the Gentiles. She's saying, And again, most of us, if we came to this guy who is a healer, we thought, he is a man of God, and we came, and he said that, most of us would walk away right there and say, forget him. And then she keeps going. She said, no, but he says, is it right to throw the children's bread to the dogs? And instead of walking away, now most of us, I don't know how many would be left of us, she says, but even the dogs or the puppies, and we take the crumbs. Why did he do that? It says he's without distinction, without partial. He loves everyone. He gave his life equally. There's no distinction between Jew and Gentile with the love of God, with the salvation of God. He says, I've come for all. Go out to all. He could raise up the children. Many people from the kingdom will be not in the kingdom, but people from outside will be in the kingdom as well. So why did he do that? Well, there was a prejudice going on with Jew and Gentile, and that's how they called each other. But he was using that to test her. He was testing her, using that, and he put up an obstacle to see what you could, and the disciples saw this. They probably felt ashamed because they may have had prejudice as well. He used that and said, well, is this? And she persevered. What was he saying? He was not saying stop. He was saying keep going. I'm testing you. I'm putting up an obstacle right now. Not to discourage you. I'm putting up an obstacle so your faith can be stronger. I'm putting up an obstacle so your love can be stronger. Not so your love can be discouraged, not so your faith can be discouraged, but so your faith can be strengthened. God puts up obstacles to test us, not to discourage us, but to make us more faithful. How are we going to overcome without that? How can you show mercy without that? Test of faith. It was to reveal that God will test. It may look cruel. That looked cruel for a moment. When sometimes we say, it looks like God is not being loving. It's as if he doesn't care what's happening. It is a test. He does care, and he's right there. She holds on. She goes through, and God is saying, hold on, go through. To reveal to his disciples right there. To reveal to her, and to reveal to all of us who read this now. Say, keep going. Sometimes God says no when he means yes. Sometimes it seems like he says no to the prayer. He puts up the no's, but he's saying, keep going. Keep going. Obstacles, keep going. Keep going. He's really saying yes. But you need to pass through. That's faith.